Hello everyone and welcome to a new video about Copilot Studio. Today's topic will be about adaptive cards. So what is adaptive cards? Have you ever asked yourself how you can format the content in your agent? So maybe you try it out with prompting and you will get some results, but prompting means also it will always generate maybe another output. It can look differently on other screens. So this is something maybe you want to avoid. So with adaptive cards, you bring more format into it. It will create a great overview and it will help you that your agent becomes a little bit more beautiful. So let's try these things out, and I have already prepared a session for you. Together we can look over it. So this agent, which is called PriceWise, is an agent where you can see it's starting with a typical greeting, and here we go, and a little nice robot. So what you can also do in this case is you can just put in some kind of media here, and this is pretty easy just to do. So if you just go into this, for example, then you see you have a message variation and the media which you can have here. So if you just look, you can add several of that items to make it a little bit nicer. So this is one way to go. And you see you have also the option with adaptive cards. This is great. We want to use this one. So in the upcoming actions, we will see then we are asking a question because we want to make the type in things as less as possible, because this it will also increase the user experience. So in that case, what I want is show me details, a specific sales order, create a new sales order, update a sales order, etc., etc. So it's all about a sales order table, which is in fact in Dataverse, and I want just to operate with this one. So typical CRUD production, so create, record, update, delete, all that kind of stuff. So, but we want to do it in a nice way in an agent. So now let's have a look here on the right side. I'm your price agent. You see the nice picture, and I'm asking the question, how shall I proceed? So these are my options. So in brackets, you see prompt. That means this is where I'm using the AI builder prompt in that case. So what I want to do is, I want now give me some kind of details which is using a prompt in the background. So if I click on this one here, then it automatically asks me which sales order ID shall I enter. If I do this one, I'm just entering 9999, and then what I will get out is specific information. And let's have a look how this looks like. So as you can see, I see the line description. It's an Apple iPhone Pro 16 Max. The sales price is around $2,000. The quantity is 1. And the address is somewhere in Hanover. So if you want to visit me, be my guest. But, you see already, even this is some kind of nice formatted already with a prompt. You see this one here. Does it look nice? May I ask you this? In honesty, I don't think so that it looks nice. But, sometimes it just only bring out something out in bullet points, etc., etc. And in that case, let me just go back to my agent and show you the prompt what I did. So the first condition which I just did is a prompt one. So I'm asking the question, please enter your sales order ID, and then I'm storing that in a string, in a variable. If I just go down, then you will see in that case that prompting is something which is not really hard to do. So what I did is I just have this expression, show all details of the sales order lines. This is my table, and sales order ID is the primary column there in that case. Show the following information highlighted in the format: line description, sales price, quantity, and delivery address. And don't show me the sales order ID because I don't need that information again. So the sales order ID is something which I'm giving to this prompt so he can work with that. So where is it hidden here? So if you click on this one, you see that I can filter now in the prompt, which is really great. So I say, go to this attribute sales order ID, which is my column, and then filter by this value. And based on that, I'm getting a response. If I click here on test, here we go. So I'm not sure if this is nice formatted, but it's a way of how you can just do this. You can just select one of these models here and then try it out if it really works better. So for example, if I try out the premium one, the O1, which is boom, here we go. So do you think this looks nice? So at least you get all the information. Yes, but it's more textish And I don't think this is something which I want to use. That's why we do have adaptive cards there. So let me cancel this one for a moment. And I'm confirming that I'm not saving this one. And let me show you how it can really look nice with adaptive cards. So in that case, I just have restarted this one. And I want now to update the sales order because then we see the same information again. So let me just now click on this one. And what you will see is now still the same game. You have to enter the sales ID. Here we go. And the next step, what you will see is now you see it in a more formatted way. So what I did is I'm retrieving all that information with a Power Automate flow in the back, and then I'm filling all that information so you don't need to put this in. So it's automatically pre-filled, and now you can just change the things. For example, I'm changing the price now because of the tariff, for example, and it's just cost you much more now. Let me just update this one. And now this is updated. So if I'm now showing this again by clicking on update a sales order, then you will see now, here we go, it's now updated with a new price. I can just click on update again, and once again we can use a specific prompt for this one, and you will see then the same results once I just click on this one. Here we go. You see now it's updated. So now you decide which one is nicer. Is this nicer or is this nicer? So, and if you also put in some kind of pictures and so on, maybe you can make it much nicer. But if you ask me, this gives you a much better overview and looks professionally. And it's guaranteed that it looks on all devices like that. Whereas this one here is not for sure that it looks on all devices like that. For example, on my other computer, I got only bullet points on that and not even that kind of a table. Really, it depends on the prompt you're just doing. If your prompt is more detailed and precise, you will always get more or less than the results which you can have here or how you like to want it. But in any case, this one here will always look the same. So now let's have a look how adaptive cards can be adjusted. So there are two ways. Adaptive cards can be either in JSON or you can use PowerFacts, a formula for that. So I prefer JSON in that case because if you do, this is, for example, not the JSON but PowerFacts. So if you click on the three dots on a property, then you will see the formula card. The disadvantage of formulas is you can't just switch over from formula to JSON. Vice versa, you can switch over easily, but if you try this one out, you get a warning that everything what you did there will be lost. So it's always good to save that kind of a progress. And here we go. Here's my adaptive card. If I click on property, now there is the way of that you can switch that over to a formula. That works without any problem. Let's have a look. You see, that worked without any problem. So let me go back. And now it's a JSON in that case. Let me just, before I save this one, reload this page. So let me just now go to the adaptive card designer in that case, properties. This is the screen. This is the end result, how it will look like. And here on the left side, you do have your elements which you can use. And on the right side, you do have the card structure and the according properties. And you also have the code here in that case, the JSON code. So I do have my sales order. If I click on this, it automatically opens me this one here. I just need to give a specific ID. They can't be the same. They have to be unique. And then I'm setting the label, as you can see, and what kind of a text. Is it either a text, a telephone number, URL? So you can just put everything. You can even make a multi-line. So you have much more thing to enter here in that case. So, and then in that case, you can also put a default value if you want. So that means something which just pops up so people just know about. Maybe as an example, what you have to type in, you can also use it, as a placeholder, for example. And if you scroll down, you have a lot of these actions, what you can do. So what's interesting is in that case, every time I'm changing something here, it automatically affects here. So for example, if I'm now putting a new let's have a look. For example, I can put in even a table there. So here we go. And if I'm putting a table, then automatically you see then this kind of JSON code will be injected here. So then I can just play with this around, which is great. And you can just click undo. The easiest way to start with adaptive cards, obviously text and numbers. And if you click on this one, you see automatically it's places. You can also drag and drop this one by selecting this one and putting in here, for example. And you see it's new, and I can just give some kind of a meaningful name. For example, date. Let's say date, even I don't have a date there. So let me just click on this one and scroll up and war date. So just to give an ID there. So the label would not be new, the label would be date, for example. And you can put in any kind of placeholder, or you can just leave it alone, completely free. Or you can just do, for example, say I want to have it in this kind of a format. For example, this one. Let's take the date of today. We have today the year 2025, the month is June, and the day is obviously the 10th. So in that case, what we have here is we have some kind of a placeholder, so people already know what they can just put in there. And this one is interesting. So as you can see, I don't have put in any kind of data there. I just have put it only into a positive style, because if you just do like this, you can change a bit the appearance of this one here. So, or also destructive. So maybe you just have a yes, no button there, for example. And in that case, you can just make it and have a different way of looking in that case. Now, what you see is this is more or less done. So I can now click on save. And if I click on save, then this automatically appears then there in my list. But I'm not saving this at the moment. So, and the great thing about this JSON part is as well, it works for the formula. If you want to translate that one. So this was one of my concerns. So how good can we translate these things? Does it work in JSON good? Does it work in formula good? If you download the language file, you can easily translate these things. It works like a charm. This is really great. This is all about adaptive cards. It's very mighty, and hopefully this is useful for you. And I would say try these things out and make your agent much more beautiful and readable with adaptive cards. In that case, see you again.